Good morning, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. I thought I'd make a video. It's July the 9th, 2025. It's 10:54, late Wednesday morning. And yeah, I'm inside the hermit hut, writing in my paper diary, which I do not know what page I'm on because I didn't write it down this morning. So it's blank. I think it's around 565, 67. Yeah, I didn't write it down this morning. I must have not. Usually I get my diary out in my desk and I look at the page number, but I didn't write it down. So you can see I didn't write it down. It's not there on the corner. But yeah, I'm writing in my diary, reading The Life of Christ, Volume 1, Reader's Edition. Still, this is my morning read. I was reading on the miracle of the Lord turning the water into wine. I was on page 347. I write down the pages. I can't even read my writing. So, yeah. No, 347. Chapter 25, How Jesus Changed Water into Wine. That's what I'm reading this morning. Here's my bookmarker. So I'm reading that, writing in my diary, drinking coffee, and I watch BookTube pretty regularly since I'm into BookTube, and I watch a lot of videos on other subjects. I'm really into watching lawn transformation videos. I like watching men turn gardens into paradise, especially in, start watching a guy in Germany, and then I watch a guy in Australia who turns these overgrown gardens that's totally been neglected for years, and then they chop down all the trees and the bushes, and they clear out all the garbage and debris, and I just sit there and watch these things. But I watch videos of booktubers, and they I don't really see that many interesting books that I would really buy. Once in a while I'll see a book on BookTube that I will buy. For example, I did come across a book that somebody showed in a video. She'd been gone for a while, this booktuber. Her name is Hardcover Hearts or something. And she'd been gone for a while. And she showed this book, Bring No Clothes, Bloomsbury and the Philosophy of Fashion by Charlie Porter. And so I ordered this, and I got it yesterday. As you know, I'm really into the Bloomsbury group. They're in Britain, turn of the century, early modernism, Virginia Woolf, and Vanessa Bell, and anyway, I got that. So sometimes I do see a book in BookTube that kind of interests me, and then I buy it. So what I'm going to show in this video is new books, not used books, not old books, but books I have recently bought. As I mentioned in my couple of videos ago, that when I get bummed out or feel like the world's coming to an end, I may as well have a World War III party some people have a hurricane party where the world's going to come to an end party. And so what I do is I buy books to comfort myself. And I thought I would just show all these new books I bought in the last couple of months. And also I want to give a view of what my literary taste is, because I don't really see the booktubers that I subscribe to read these kinds of books. And I'm not going to show you my Christian books, just basically non-Christian books. And some I've shown, some days ago you've seen, but I just want to have one video where I show new books exclusively. And one of the new books that I bought last couple of weeks ago was called The Radicals and Rogues, The Women Who Made New York Modern by Lolly Wallen. I want to finish this when I finish reading that book on Bright Circle, 5 Remarkable Women in the Age of Capitalism. Bright Circle. I read this yesterday. I'm on the chapter of Margaret Fuller, and when I finish reading this, which I'm almost done, I should finish it by, I'd say, at least this month. And then I'm going to read Radicals and Rogues, Women Who Made New York Modern by Lottie. So these are new books I bought recently. And then I bought this book recently I showed to you a couple weeks ago, The Collected Poems of Delmore Schwartz, edited by Ben Mazer. I try to buy poetry. Once in a while I come across a poet that I told you I have other books by him, and this is his collected poems. So this is a new book. And then I bought Square Haunting, 5 Writers in London Between the Wars by Francisca Wade. I'm almost done with this, and when I'm done reading this, I plan to read something non-fiction. I would like to read Paris in Ruins, Love, War, and the Birth of Impressionism by Sebastian Smee. So this is a new book I got. I have other books by him. The Art of Rivalry I have by him. So I'm going to read this once I finish this. So these are new books I've got in the last couple of months. And then I have reading Capitalism and Critics, A History from Industrial Revolution to AI by John Cassidy. I'm not finished with this. I got a lot to go. I've read 153 pages. It's about 600 pages. So I'm really enjoying this. I like reading about economics, capitalism, socialism, communism, communes, utopian movements. So I've been reading this, and when I'm done with that, I plan to read The Soviet Century, Archaeology of a Lost World by Carl Slagler. I can't pronounce his name. So when I'm finished reading this, I plan to read this. And these are all new books. And then yesterday I received some New York Review books that I have recently bought. As you all know, I really think that one of the best publishers of books that I really enjoy reading are the New York Review books. And I showed you this one, The Winds of Night by Joan Salas. And I have another one of hers or his in my collection. And this is translated out of the Spanish by Peter Bush. And I got these yesterday. I ordered 4 from the New York Reviews, and I got them in the mail yesterday. The Rest is Silence by Augusto Monterroso, translated from the French, from the Spanish by Aaron Kerner. I got this one. I started reading this. It's a slim little thing. I probably can read it this week. And then I picked up the New York Review books, classics, Fear, a novel of the World War I by Gabriel Chevallier, translated from the French, I think, by Malcolm Imrie. Then on writers and writing, essays and literary criticism by Henry James. And then I picked up Other Worlds, Peasants, Pilgrims, and Spirits and Saints by Teffi, translated out of Russian by Robert Chandler and Elizabeth Chandler. I have other books by, I'm not sure, let me see. She was a woman Russian writer. So I got these brand new just recently, the New York Review. I really, of all the books I've read over the years, I've never been disappointed in reading these. So I highly recommend them. And then I picked up Arnold Schmidt, No Daddy's Children. This is translated. This is Dark Hole, translated by John E. Woods. That's new. And then I picked up Everything Is Now, 1960s New York, Avant-Garde, Primal Happenings, Underground Movies, Radical Pop by J. Iberman. This is really up my alley. I really enjoy reading books like this. And then I got in the mail yesterday Century of Fiction in the New Yorker, 1925 to 1925, edited by Deborah Treisman. Every writer short story in this collection, 95% of them, I collect these writers. I went through the list here, and now some of them I dehauled, but most of these, I say at least 90% of these short story writers I have. I see a couple I might have dehauled, but most of them I have kept in my library, these short story writers that wrote in the New Yorker from 1925 to 2025. a century of fiction. As you know, I have a big New York magazine collection. That's why I got this. And plus Amazon slashed this almost 45% off. And so I bought it. Got in the mail yesterday. And I've been reading, this is a new book, A Woman of One's Own and the Common Reader. These are literary essays by Virginia Woolf. I read this yesterday too. I've been reading the essay, A Room of One's Own, because it goes along with other things I'm reading. And these are the books I showed from the Princeton University Spring Sale, Ancient Christianities, the First 500 Years, by the Jewish historian Paula Freckenstein. And then I bought this from the new Princeton University Spring Sale, Citizen Marx, Republicanism and the Formation of Karl Marx, Social and Political Thought by Bruno Leopold. These are the kind of books that when I look through BookTube and look at what people are reading, this is the kind of stuff I look at, what they're reading or what's on their bookshelves. And then I bought Lower Than Angels, A History of Sex and Christianity by Diarmaid MacCulloch. I bought this with my Father's Day gift card, Amazon gift card from my daughter and her family. This is also another Princeton University book spring sale I got, Thoreau's Acts, Distraction, Discipline in American Culture by Caleb Smith. These I plan to read when I finish other nonfiction books on my to be read pile. And then I bought What the Thunder Said, How the Wasteland Made Poetry Modern by Jed Russolo. I can't pronounce the name. This is On the Wasteland, which is a very famous modernistic poem by T.S. Eliot. I really want to get into this year. The Roots of American Individualism, Political Myth in the Age of Jackson by Alex Zacharias. Yeah, I'm really into American history, American thought, history of ideas, but I'm really into America, and this looked really interesting. Adam Smith Reconsidered, History and the Foundation of Modern Politics by Paul Sager. I got this at the Princeton University Spring Sale. Yeah, I'm really interested in American politics, and that's why I got this. Study the Inner Life of Renaissance Libraries by Andrew Hu. And then I bought Christopher Ashwood, A Biography, Inside Out by Catherine Bucknell. He was a writer, a playwright, wrote screenplays, he wrote the Berlin Stories. And then I bought Mark Twain, the new biography by Ron Chekanoff for my Mark Twain collection. And then I bought Buckley, The Life and Revolution That Changed America by Sam Tannerhist. There's one other book I bought. I should get it, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I also bought this, The Marvelous Solitude, The Art of Reading in Early Modern Europe. So, these are kind of books I want to read as I see Rome burning and the rise of fascism. So yeah, so these are kind of books that kind of show you my literary taste, the kind of books that I like to hear people talk about in BookTube, discuss. Now sometimes these people who wrote these books have book talks or lectures or videos. I'm always on the internet looking for information on these books. So yeah, The Marvelous Solitude, The Art of Reading in Early Modern Europe. I want to really get into reading. I've read several biographies of Mark Twain. I have his complete writings, all kinds. I've read a lot of Mark Twain over the years, but I haven't read this new one by Ron Sheknon. Christopher Asherwood has always been a figure I'm interested in. Inside Out, a biography by Catherine Bucknell. And as you know, I grew up watching Firing Line and Buckley, The Life and Revolution of Change in America. This goes into my interest in American politics, the rise of conservatism. He was editor of the New Republic. I just want to read more about his life. So that's why I got those books. And I always like reading about the study. I have a study, The Inner Life of Renaissance Libraries. And American Politics, Adam Smith Reconsidered History and Liberty and the Foundation of American Politics by Paul Sanger. The Roots of American Individualism, The Political Myth in the Age of Jackson by Alex Zachris. T.S. Eliot, The Study on the Wasteland, What the Thunder Said by Jed Raslau. And then I have his other books, Diarmaid MacCulloch, he wrote on the Reformation, History of Christianity, other books. So we have that. Just goes on and on. Citizen Marx, Ancient Christianity. This is by a Jewish historian. Virginia Woolf's very famous essay, A Room of One's Own. Read these short stories. Fiction, A Century of Fiction by the New Yorker, 1925 to 2025. And then you read about Everything Is Now, 1960s New York, avant-garde, primal happenings, underground movies, and radical pop by Jay Haberman. So I got all kinds of things to read. I don't really need to go to thrift stores these days. I have enough here to read. No Daddy's Children by Arnold Schmidt. The Soviet Century, Archaeology of the Lost World by Carl Schleichenthal. Can't pronounce that name. And I'll be reading Capitalism and Its Critics by John Cassidy. I'll be getting into Radicals and Rogues, the Women Who Made New York Modern by Lottie Walden. Reading The Full Circle, 5 Remarkable Women in the Age of Capitalism by Randall Fuller. And then I have these New York Review books to read through. Square Haunting, 5 Writers in London Between the Wars. I'm on the chapter of Virginia Woolf in here. I really want to get into Paris in Ruins, Love, War, and the Birth of Impressionism by Sebastian Smee. And I have been reading the poetry of Delmore Schwartz. And of course, Bring No Clothes, Bloomsbury, and the Philosophy of Fashion by Charlie Porter. So these are kind of books that kind of give you an example of what I like to read in the few days I have left here on this earth. It's kind of interesting, you know, I can go back in my online diaries, going back 24, 25 years. I can read what I wrote back in 2001. And if I live another 20 years, I'll be 93. So these are kind of books that if I devoted myself just to reading these books I just showed you in this video, at least a couple years, if you really devoted your time to them. I'm a slow reader because I'm always writing in my diary. Plus, I read these books in the afternoons and the evenings. In the mornings, I'm always studying the Bible. My wife and I have devotions. We're going through the New Testament. We're in 2 Corinthians. And at night, my wife and I are going through the prophecy of Jeremiah. So I read all those kinds of books. And of course, there's always, you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to talk. So I have enough here. I just showed you probably to read for a couple of years. But I wanted to show you these books because people show their book hauls, they show their collection of cowboy books, and they show their collection of comic books and Christian romance and ancient Greek history. And so these are kind of books that I look for and what kind of books I like to buy. I got a book coming in the mail tomorrow, which is basically a commentary on Jeremiah by the church father Jerome, who's famous for the Vulgate, but he wrote a massive commentary on Jeremiah. I don't think this is I think this is an abridgment, but I'm supposed to get that tomorrow because I've been really getting into Jeremiah, the weeping prophet. So I'll sign off. I just thought I'd show you these books instead of just, usually I mix the new and the old together in a video, and I just thought I'd show one video of all the new books I bought the last 2 months. And these are the ones that are on my to be read pile over there in the living room, and some are in my study that I plan to read in the following months. So I hope you're having a good, today is a Wednesday. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your comments. If you got any questions on these books or anything you want to ask me within reason, you know. Some things I can't say in BookTube because I would get thrown out. There is censorship. There is no really free speech here. So until next time, may the Lord bless.